Dreams and ambitions, the things that keeps us moving. Determination and hard work brings out the reality, hoping for a better future. Today, Mosese TV brings to you a great inspirational story. A determined soul that kept it real until the desires of his heart came true. His name is Dickens.
Basically, my name is Dickens, just like you mentioned. I am a former student of the School of Journalism, University of Nairobi. I graduated in 2019, and before I graduated, I joined Nation as an intern in 2018, and I went to the editorial department where I produced videos for Nation Media Group's online site called Nation.Africa, and NTV, YouTube channel, and Facebook, and also report. I got a report. I produce, I report, I'm editor, I'm just an all-round journalist.
Dickens grew up in the low-income areas of Majengo. Here, her mother used to sell groundnuts, popularly known as njugu karanga. He would help his mother in the evening to hawk the njugus around the CBD.
As I was growing up, I always wanted to work for Nation. So growing up in Majengo, I used to help my mother hawk groundnuts, njugu. So in the evening, I would come to town. I would I'd hawk in different estates, like from Majengo where we stayed. We would go to Gikomba, Kamkunji, then to Karioko, then to there's called River Road, then to Mudurwa, then to Markiti. Then later in the night, I would come to the CBD, but I would hide the groundnuts I was selling. Because I always say, I think I had the mind of an uptown kid, but I was living in the ghetto. So I wasn't coming to town to hawk the groundnuts. I was hiding them so that nobody would know I was hawking groundnuts. But I would sit outside Nation Center and always wanted to work inside that building. And I would also love to see journalists walk into the building and come out. So I really always wanted to join Nation.
When he was growing up, he wanted to pursue a journalism course so as he can join NTV Kenya.
But I always had a focus. I always wanted to come back to Nairobi and not join any other university, but the University of Nairobi, and then not any other medias, but Nation Media Group, then later CNN.
Taking you back to his campus life, it was never easy. It was full of struggle and hardships.
My campus life, it was fine. I think most of you know. I joined the University of Nairobi in 2015 as a first year. I was homeless when I joined campus because I was living with an aunt of mine and an uncle who, after 1 year, my aunt asked me to look for another place. We never had any problems as we were living together, as we were staying together. But I don't know what happened. But basically, I always say this. I thank her because she put me up for 1 year. 1 year, somebody's living with you, and then a day she changes. I'm always positive about what she did for me by taking care of me for about 365 days. So the one day she asked me to go and look for another place, it's really not nothing. So I'm really thankful to her. So when the fateful day came and I had to leave, the reason why when I was coming to Nairobi, I went to live with that particular uncle of mine is the only maternal uncle I'd kept in touch. So I always thought, I always wanted to come back to Nairobi because we were born here, went to school here, and I got a lot of aspirations and dreams that were actualized here that I really wanted to meet back here in Nairobi.
After joining campus, Dickens would always walk alone. He would avoid other students as much as possible. His mother had once given him a strong advice, which he followed wholeheartedly.
And most of the time, if you guys were keen when we were in campus, I never used to walk with anybody. I was always alone because I was broke. My mother, while we were growing up, my mother always told me that you should not burden anybody. If you don't have money, don't burden anybody. So always just have your space where you don't burden anybody or you don't become a nuisance or somebody that nobody wants to be with. So I always kept my space alone. And after lectures, I would walk. And I continued to spend some of my time outside Nation Center after lectures. I always did that.
Life started becoming harder. He had nowhere to spend most of his daytime. It's here where he opted to spend most of his time at the university. Dickens built himself a very good connection between him and the lecturers. Students could easily access lecturers through his help. It's here where his life started to glow again.
When I joined, I would spend most of my time in campus because I never had anywhere to be. I would really be in touch with almost all lecturers, and it was easy for students to get lecturers through me. And I also formed a rapport between lecturers and I. And through that, and because of some of my lecturers, our lecturers, goodwill. There are those who paid my school fees. There are those who dropped me home after foster family came and took me. When I was going to second year, there's a foster family that came and took me from the streets. And I had lecturers like Dr. Kilemi who dropped me home. Dr. Kilemi would, after lectures, he would take me to the best hotels in Nairobi. This is something you never knew. Then he drops me home. Dr. Riaso, Gavigi, and Kamau who paid my school fees. There are several lecturers who did this. Almost all the lecturers supported me in one or another way.
Back in school, Dickens studied broadcast journalism with a lot of passion, hoping to practice it in future.
I pursued broadcast journalism so passionately. As I was growing up, I wanted to join NTV, where I am now, and then later CNN. But when I came to Nation, the broadcast division's newsroom was full, packed, and so I was taken to the digital department. So the best thing about digital is that you are able to experience broadcast journalism even on online platforms. Yeah, that's the best thing about online or new media.
A few days after joining campus, an election was held in the School of Journalism. Here, Dickens was appointed as a student leader.
There wasn't any election that was held to elect the chairman of the School of Journalism or those other posts. I was just appointed. And this is the reason why I was appointed, because I used to spend most of my time in campus, because just like I said earlier, I never had any other place to be.
Upon appointment as a student leader, Dickens would work on connection for journalism students. He would organize how students would get attachment on NTV, join talk shows, and much more.
So when I joined the University of Nairobi and became a student leader, I would take students for focus group discussions, and whenever there would be other events, and even on shows where they needed audiences, they even made me a contact person between NTV and the University of Nairobi, where I would take students for focus group discussion and to be audiences for some shows there.
During his campus days, he would always keep it strong. Nobody would even suspect how he was really struggling. Nobody knew his story.
I give it up to my mom. My mom, the life training my mother gave us, my brother and I, was really difficult. She was a no-nonsense lady. She never corrected you by a word of mouth. It was always physical and painful. So she actually made us be strong, and she prepared us for the difficulties that we would face in life after her death. So it was hard.
Later, during one of the Nation Leadership Forum, a partnership between the University of Nairobi and the Nation Media Group, Dickens saw the CEO of Nation Media. He decided to approach him.
During one of the Nation Leadership Forum programs at the University of Nairobi, it's a program between NTV and Nation, I saw the CEO, after the end of that event, I saw the CEO walk into one of the washrooms there. And I was talking to Trevor. You know, Trevor is an alumnus of the School of Journalism. And when I saw the CEO, I didn't tell Trevor that I'm going to see his boss. I just told him, because I was sure, I know Trevor would have told me, chana na mkubwa. So I walked into the washroom, and Mr. Gitagama was at the urinals. I went to the sink. And when he came to wash his hands, I just asked him, Mr. Gitagama, my name is Dickens Ngisho. I'm a student leader here at the School of Journalism, but I also volunteer for Nation informally. There's nowhere written at the Charters Department or anybody, any office at Nation who knew I was volunteering. It was nilikuwa naji place tu, unaona. So I told the CEO to give me 2 minutes of his time after introducing myself. Na akaniambia, sema kijana. So I just told him about how I was passionate about broadcast, and I always wanted to join Nation, and how I wanted to become a humanitarian journalist to give back to people, because I felt I was really indebted to people, especially those that never knew me or those with whom I was not related. So the lecturers and people I never knew who were supported. So I wanted to go to the newsroom and practice journalism that would also change lives of other people for the better. I just wanted to give back. So he just liked the way I shared with him this, and he held my hand. This is the CEO. So the managing director, Munyoki, is called Munyoki. He left Nation. He was outside the washroom. So Gitagama held my hands and took me to him outside the washroom and told him, Mr. MD, ebu sikiza wewe kijana. I gave him an elevator speech, 2 minutes, short and concise. And then he asked me for my phone. He saved his number on my phone. He gave me back my phone and told me to go to the office the following Tuesday. It was on a Monday. It was about 8 days ahead of the time we were talking. So basically, that's how I got to Nation. I interned for about 8 months. Tuko poached me. I went to Tuko for 2 weeks. Nation called me back and gave me a permanent deal.
Several things inspires him to keep going. Humanitarian issues melts his heart.
So what inspires me in life is when I see that a journalist goes to stand somewhere, hold a mic, and then a particular thing happens for the better. Like if there are kids who are not going to school because of school fees or because of classrooms that are not built for them, and then there's a story that is told about what they're going through. Then the government or stakeholders or anybody comes to change that particular situation for the better. That really melts my heart. And that's really what drove me to become a journalist. Another thing that inspires me is the life story of Steve Harvey. Steve's story and mine are just identical. Being homeless and being told, I wasn't as confident when I was growing up as I wanted. And Steve Harvey used to stammer. But then his teacher also told him that he would never be on TV. So he inspired me a great deal. Yes.
On his desk, Dickens does much to make sure that he gives out the best out of him. He got to commit himself to his duties.
Staying truthful, and that's not enough. I think the passion to pursue a story, the passion to pursue a human interest story, a humanitarian story, a social affair story, not political stories. It's okay for people to do political stories and this other business, but for me, and I'm not trying to fault them for what they're doing. I think they're passionate about what they do. But for me, what I think is really important in the field of journalism is doing a story that touches the life of that person who's at the lowest level, to change their life for the better. That is really important. For me, that's really one thing I like when I'm practicing journalism.
Dickens gives a word of advice to students and young graduates.
But what I can say is that pursue what you like passionately. Make sure that what you're doing, somebody's seeing it out there. Don't be idle or don't lose hope or be disillusioned not to pursue what you want to do. I know that as youth we encounter a lot of problems and things that make us even lose hope in life. But always just go to do something. Even if you haven't been able to get to do what you want to do, just do something to keep you busy, and somebody will see what you are doing, and they'll refer you somewhere. There is never a formula for anything. There is never a formula for how somebody got somewhere. Exploit those skills that you acquired at the university. Buy yourself a camera and a tripod, and get some like-minded person, and start a YouTube channel that practices professional journalism. Not these mushrooming YouTube channels where people don't really, work in accordance with the ethics of journalism. No. If you're a journalist, you're a trained journalist, and you should practice that professionally. I know every journalism student or graduate has a feeling which they're passionate about or what they want to do. Start low, start small. Just start small. Establish relationships and networks. They're very important. They're very, very important.
Dickens is a grateful soul. His dream came true through the help of a group of people. To the ones that made it happen, he gives out a word.
Man, you don't want me to cry. No. Dr. Oriaso would mentor me in his office, send me on errands and make sure he pays me, drop me home, always mentoring me and calling me and finding how I am doing. Dr. Kamau Mwangi paid 2 units, school fees for my 2 units. And Kilemi even used to send me money even after leaving the University of Nairobi. He's working with Google now in Ireland. But he sent me money for upkeep and drop me home. And after lectures, take me to Java, the Hiltons of Nairobi, buy me supper and drop me home. I mean, I don't know what I can tell them, but I want to practice great journalism that is going to change the lives of people so that they're happy. I don't think they want me to give them money. If I'll do what they've trained me in class, I think they'll be so happy when they see that happen.
Indeed, determination, Hard work and believing in the beauty of your dreams is the only way to make them come into reality.
It is not good if you are in a situation. I think it is important to speak. It is important to speak. Speak to people that can help you out of that bad situation. Establish relationships. Build networks that will help you. And don't just ask for money. Sometimes ask for mentorship, ask for guidance, so that you're able to practice well what you want to practice your entire life. Don't ask for selfies. If you are going through a hard situation now, I think ask God what you want to achieve, what you want to attain, and your goal, and put work in that particular thing. God's time is the best. God's time is the best.
Moses Nduta, Moses TV.